So if anyone at all is following along with this log splitter build, this is going to be the fourth video on building this. In the last video, we finally got the engine running and splitting. Barely. The engine was running really poorly and it sounded terrible. There ended up being a problem with one of the valves. So we had to tear that apart, fix that. That was a completely separate video, but we finally got it back together and running and splitting again. So I'm gonna grab a log and split one really quick to show you guys. As you can see, it's a little bit awkward right now because I got to put one hand on the log and then I got to reach down with the other hand and grab the lever. So the first thing I want to work on is figure out our foot pedal design so that you can have two hands on the log and then your foot runs the foot pedal. But it's going to be a little bit of screwing around because I got to figure out the foot pedal to connect to the valve and then figure out some kind of return lever so that when a spring to bring it back up and then it hits a lever to come down and figure out how to return the valve into neutral. So that's going to be a little bit of work. I got the lever figured out, it's pretty easy. So I just hooked onto the normal valve lever down here with a little clip. And then for like transport mode, you can just unhook that, pull it up and rehook it tighter. So it's kind of off the ground, ready to move. So now that part was pretty easy. Now I've got to figure out, I probably should have left this lever long because now I need to find a really strong spring, enough for when you push down and let off. It's got a natural spring in there, or one built into the valve. So it's strong enough to already go back up into neutral, but I need another spring to overcome the neutral spring that's pushing it even from down, because there's one going this way too. So I need a spring, after you let off the foot pedal, it goes to neutral, but I need a spring to overcome that to go up to suck the cylinder in, which I think is gonna have to be a really strong spring. That's why I wish I would have left this long. I got more leverage I might have to add back on. But so a really strong spring, pop that back in to suck the cylinder up automatically, and then I need some kind of complicated lever to hit before it returns all the way up, to hit that lever, pull a rod up, and then pivot on something to pop this back down into neutral again. So that's gonna be a little bit of screwing around. So I made this little bracket and then welded in that square structure up there. So my idea is I'm gonna bolt this to that. Let me bolt it up real quick. So I got that bracket bolted to that structure, hanging from the top there. And then it's going back along that forklift mast. It's going right along here. So my idea is to push the foot pedal down to split the wood. And then once I build the spring return, it'll be up like this. And then I just need to find the right length of lever to go behind there so that when that lever's up, that pushes it back down into neutral, and then you're ready to split again. So I got to connect a rod back behind there that goes up with a little tab that catches the splitting mast, and then it'll kick down, pushing this lever down back to neutral. I just got to find the right spot for all that. So I thought I was coming up with a good idea making these and then having that rod slide in them, and I was gonna weld them right to the mast like that so the rod can go up and down in those, but they're not gonna work because the lever down there that it's mounted to, it goes, as it moves, it goes on like a radius. So the rod moves just a little bit, and these aren't gonna work if they're solid mounted. I thought about making them like swivel and stuff, but I think that's asking for too much. So there's probably a better way of doing this, but I think for right now, I'm just gonna cut one of these eye bolts and then mount it, weld it somewhere in there so that the rod's got some kind of guide. You can see it kind of moves. It's got a little bit of a radius as it goes up and down. Kind of just doing trial and error here. So I'm gonna do that, and then I gotta find the right height to make a little tab so that it catches the mast, and then we'll play with it and see what that'll do. I'm sure I'll come up with something better. So I've been playing around with this. I had to re-engineer this lever handle. I got rid of that goofy little short thing. Well, actually it's in there. I welded it. I needed something stronger, so I bent this square tube, and this is going to be my lever. I got a thread into there. And then I kept this the same, so that'll kick the lever off. And then I need to hook up my lever down there to that chain. And then what I came up with is I got this spring and I welded this nut here. So that's going to be my return spring that's going to tie into the bottom of this lever to hopefully keep it up. And then I think I've been playing with that height. Once the mast hits this lever, it's going to pull up and it's going to push this down to hopefully kick that back into neutral. I don't know if it's going to work because I'm kind of thinking I don't know if it's going to really kick it back into neutral, because this is going to be pretty tight, this spring, to be able to return the foot pedal and go all the way back into reverse. So I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to try it though. And I'm not crazy about this. Still haven't come up with a better idea for that, but I'm going to try it and see what happens. it works for the most part, I think, but right away I'm noticing that the foot pedal, it's pretty hard to press, even with standing up and with your foot. The spring's just got a lot of tension on it. I'm gonna try to adjust it some more, but even doing that, I think I might need to find a less heavy-duty spring or give it more adjustment, but I need just the right amount to be able for it to return up and overcome the lever and everything. So I got to play with that. And then also I'm noticing that this is returning it pretty nicely. It's returning it back to neutral where the cylinder doesn't move. But I was playing with the pedal. It still puts a little bit of a load on the engine. It's like borderline. It's like right in between neutral and the up position of the lever. So I might need to figure out an adjustment for that because it's not moving the cylinder, but it's putting a little bit of a load on the engine, just enough to notice, which might not be a big deal, but I gotta play with that. But I'm gonna go get a log because I'm dying to split with this thing the way it's supposed to be split with. So that's pretty exciting. That's gonna be sweet. But like I said, I gotta dial around that spring a little bit. You wouldn't want to split all day. It's not a very comfortable. I need less tension and see if I could do less throw. I might be able to move that chain in and out to get a less movement in the pedal. So I gotta play with that, but I'm gonna get the rest of this thing finished so we can finally split some wood with it. So I want to make some kind of hood for this to protect the engine and everything under here. The splitter takes up quite a bit of room, so it's not always going to have a home indoors. So hopefully some kind of hood will protect everything, keep it out of the weather. So I'm going to start with like a framework. I'm going to make the frame shell out of this 3/4 inch square tube. I got to make like a framework, and I'm going to kind of follow the body line. And then hinges back there, and then sheet metal. Hopefully I don't make it look too ugly. So that's most of the framework I got done for the hood. I still need to add a few corner braces here and there. It's probably overkill for what it is, but most everything I do is overkill. I needed to notch that front out because it was hitting the jack. And then I built this frame for the radiator because I got to put the fan in still, but the fan's going to be blowing outward. So instead of sheet metal, I left this window and I'm going to put some expanded metal there. And I think I'm going to do that same thing by the muffler here. I'm going to build another frame and then expanded metal, keep some heat out of there. I got to do a couple more braces there. And then these hoses, they're kind of going through the hood now. But I'm going to reroute these. I want them kind of tucked in this window behind the hood. So I got to reroute those. But I'm going to try to finish welding this hood up in place before I put the sheet metal on, because I have it clamped down, and that's better for hopefully things don't move around and shift and tweak. So try to keep it clamped down, weld everything, and then I'm going to put the sheet metal on. I got some 20 gauge sheet metal. I was kind of contemplating, I was going to go with 18 gauge. I don't really work too much with sheet metal, so hopefully this will be thick enough. So the hood's pretty much done. I was worried about it looking too boxy and ugly, but I don't think it looks that bad. I added some latches here and then some gas shocks to open it. It opens pretty nice. I got 2 of them back there. So I think this is gonna end the build videos on this. We gotta finish welding it, paint it, tear it all apart, and then put it back together. But it's pretty much mostly done. But before we do that, Andrew was just finishing temporary wiring some stuff so we can test it out some more in case we need to fine tune anything. So other than that, we're gonna do a little testing on it, and then I'll probably do a final walk around video after we get it all painted and finished up.